Oi boys, welcome to another video on the channel. We are back with some IRL NRL chat. Now let's talk about the week that was first up, and then we'll quickly run through some of what's coming up in round 2. Now, my overall thoughts on round 1, for me, and there's probably a bit of recency bias in this, that was the best opening round to a season that I've seen for quite some time. Not only were most of the games competitive, but there are plenty upsets. And I'm not just talking about results. Speaking of, shout out to my boys, the Brisbane Broncos, for putting off the upset against the Penrith Panthers on the road. That's massive. And I'm not gonna lie, I did have the Panthers, and I don't do a tips video, but I am like keeping track of my picks for the season. And yeah, don't worry, there won't be a played out Penrith daddy meme. Don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think we nailed the daddy memes, and now Penrith must be stopped the video. Anyway, I do digress. The game of the week / performance of the week for me was the Redcliffe Dolphins knocking off the Roosters. The Roosters, the faves for a lot of people to take out the comp this season. Not my faves. My faves for the wooden spoon though are the Dolphins, and I base that off just their roster compared to the rest of the league. If there's anyone that can get a team like the Dolphins, I mean, no disrespect, they do have a world-class forward pack though. If there's any coach that can get them firing, it's good old Uncle Wayne Bennett, and that he did. I mean, Felice Kaufusi, that lad was on a mission. It was easily one of his best performances that I've seen at least. And the other vets in the team were just as impactful. I mean, you can see the logic behind picking up world-class edges in Kaufusi and Bromwich. And the selections overall in that forward pack in particular, it's a pack of hard workers. You know, I said it's in our season preview. They've got a team of hard workers, a team of goers. I just thought that the age would somewhat play a factor, but clearly I was wrong. I know we're only in round 1, but they deserve all the praise after knocking off a powerhouse like the Roosters. I do want to give a shout out to the South Sydney Rabbitohs, who were absolutely giving it to the crowd every chance they could get in the Sharks' own backyard as well. Oof, that's gotta hurt. Shout out to the Warriors for impressing me personally with their defense, specifically on the try line, and shout out to the Mad Dog, Cam Munster, for continuing to play on with a nasty injury like an absolute G. I saw the photo too, bro, it's gross. But yeah, that's generally my highlights and my thoughts of round 1. As for the lowlights or the disappointments in round 1, performance wise, it's got to be the Bulldogs for me. Plenty of gas heading into the regular season, and rightfully so. They've been going crazy with the recruits, but again, like I said, it's round 1. They looked terrible, but I have no doubts they'll eventually kick on. I share the same sentiments about the West Tigers as well. Both sides can be bailed out with the early season excuse. I wouldn't really be worrying if I'm a Tigers or Bulldogs fan. Now, if it was like around 12 and they were still dishing out performances like that, that's another story. And the final lowlight of round 1, that little tiff between Jerome Luai and Jamin Salmon. At first glance, I didn't think nothing of it, and after watching it again, I still think nothing of it. I guess because it's the Penrith Panthers and it's Jerome Luai, it qualifies for a quote-unquote story. It definitely could have been avoided if they kept it in the locker room. For me, I was glad to see it. Honestly, I love seeing that type of stuff. It's like we always say, we're here for the tea, we're here for the tomfoolery. And a lot of people are overreacting. I mean, they're acting like they've got flogged by the Broncos. You got Buzz on NRL 360, who sounds like he's about to fall asleep mid-sentence every sentence, saying that he needs a serious sit-down with the coach and captain. Like,
what?
Let's hear the thoughts of a certified legend in the game.
You want to play with us, don't you dare bludge like that. And every time the ball went away, even right to the man, I'd be thinking that. Do you think? Jamin Salmon, do you think he'll miss his assignment again? There'll be no way he'll miss his assignment. Doesn't matter how tired he is. So I applaud Jerome Luai.
That's it. That's the take. And now we preview the week ahead. This will be a quick preview. I'm not going to go through all the teams. I'm just going to go over my picks. Thursday night, we have an absolute banger to kick off round 2. The Penrith Panthers taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Back at Bluebet Stadium for the Panthers. The back-to-back champs coming off back-to-back losses. You'd think they'd get up for this. I think they would. That's my pick for the match, especially with the Bunnies missing a few of their middlemen. Gee, I like the Bunnies though. I love the look of the Bunnies, the way they play and everything about that round 1 performance. But I'm going to lean with the Panthers, like I said. On Friday, we got the Eels taking on the Sharks. Another banger of a game. It's a stacked week too. No Nico Hines, of course, but Trindle looked hectic in round 1. I want to take the Parramatta Eels though at home. I had said in our season preview that I didn't think Hodgson, stylistically at least, wouldn't be a good fit with Mitch Moses and Dylan Brown, given that Hodgson's style is control dominant. But yeah, it's only round 2. They have plenty of time to work on their chemistry. It should be a pretty close game, but I'm going to lean with the Eels, just off the fact that there's no Nico Hines, even though Trinder was good, and it's at CommBank Stadium. The Friday night blockbuster, the Queensland Derby, Suncorp Stadium, the Brisbane Broncos take on the North Queensland Cowboys. One of my favourite fixtures every season. Being a Broncos supporter, I'm going to take the Broncos in this, of course. Yes, I know we've been losing by heaps the last couple outings, but I'll back my boys in a close one. And yeah, hopefully it returns back to those competitive days of yesteryear. To kick off the Super Saturday, we have the Warriors taking on the Sydney Roosters, this at Allianz Stadium. Now, the Roosters should have this in the bag, but they looked pretty dicey last week. Do I expect them to come out and play the same? Obviously not. Like the Friday headliner, I just hope for a competitive match. The Warriors. Defensively, on their goal line, they looked pretty solid last week, but then again, not to take anything away from their efforts in defense, the Newcastle Knights in attack were pretty average. On paper at least, the battle between the forward packs, it's doing it for me. Adam Fanua-Blake. How about Mitch Barnett in the front row? He was on the hunt last week against his old club. I'm hoping he brings that same energy. Murata Niukore on the edges, Jackson Ford on the other. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Going up against Victor Radley, that's a clash I wouldn't want to miss. The Roosters also have Joey Manu coming back, so that makes the task even greater for the Warriors. Here's hoping they keep it competitive. They might even win their forward battle, to be honest. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Roosters. Joey Manu back. It's at Allianz. They just got embarrassed. Give me the Roosters. Game 2 for Super Saturday, we got the Redcliffe Dolphins taking on the Canberra Raiders. This one at KO Stadium in Redcliffe. Their first official home match. I wasn't high on them, obviously, before the season started, but all it took was one game and I'm on the bandwagon, baby. Give me the Dolphins. Give me the Dolphins against the Raiders. Again, another juicy battle between forward packs. You got Fusi and the Bromwich brothers coming off monumental performances. Can they do it in back-to-back weeks, or are they too old? We're going to find out. They're coming up against the best prop in the league in Joey Tapine, who's now notorious for quite literally carrying the Raiders pack on his back. I'm also excited to see Jeremy Marshall-King, who absolutely killed it last weekend. Yeah, let's see if he can keep evolving. I've been high on him for the last couple seasons, and it's just good to see him continue to elevate. And for the final game on Super Saturday, we have the Melbourne Storm going up against the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, this one in Melbourne. And it's tough to look past the Storm, although they don't have Cam Munster in this. They've got Wishart in the 6. They still got Harry Grant and whatnot, the old, or the new guard, I should say. Man, I wouldn't count the Dogs out, honestly. If the team can actually play off the back of Reed Mahoney, who absolutely ripped in round 1, if they can get on the same wavelength, the halves in particular, I could see an upset here. You know what? I'm actually gonna take the Dogs in this one. And for the last 2 games, Sunday footy, we have this first game. We got the West Tigers and the Newcastle Knights. Both teams coming off underwhelming performances in round 1. With the Tigers, although they were underwhelming, you can see that once they start to click, they're going to be a fun team to watch. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to make the 8s or nothing crazy like that, but I do think they'll come right. I'm a massive fan of Asu Kepaoa. I thought he was one of their best players last season, and it's interesting to see that they're playing him off the bench in like a back row role, I guess. Brett Naden and Tommy Talau being their first choice centers. At Leichhardt Oval as well, I'm going to go with the West Tigers in this. They've got a young, hungry pack. As for Newcastle, I feel like I've been waiting for the Knights to kick on for the last 2 years, and they just haven't. I've said in the past that I do think that they've done a poor job building around Kalen Ponga. This year, however, they did recruit Jacko Hastings and Adam Elliott, and like every other team, it'll take time for those combinations to settle in. Speaking of Elliott, I didn't even see him on the team list. Not sure if he's injured or if he's been dropped or suspended. But yeah, give me the Tigers here at home at Leichhardt. And for the final game, we got the St. George Illawarra Dragons, their first match of the year, going up against the Gold Coast Titans, who are coming into this, collecting their first win of the season. Yeah, the Dragons at home, eh? I'm looking at the team list right now. They've actually got Kieran Foran named. I thought he was injured. I wonder if that'll change come game day. Yeah, the Dragons' first game of the season, and I'm expecting them to be fired up, as a lot of people had them finishing the regular season at the bottom of the ladder. It's going to be tough though. This Titans pack, not too shabby. I mean, just looking at the bench rotation, Jaden Campbell for Tuika, Aaron Clark and McIntyre for the Titans. For the Dragons, you got Little, Musgrove, Toby Couchman, not too sure who that is, it might be his debut, and Michael Molo. I like the Titans, but for narrative's sake, give me the Dragons, man, give me the Dragons at home. And yeah, that about wraps up our round 1 recap and our round 2 preview. Next week we'll mix it up. First of all, the review will be uploaded on a Monday and the preview will be a day earlier as well. For now, that's it from me. If you did enjoy that and would like to see more rugby league related content and more content in general, be sure to sub to the channel and don't forget to smash that like button. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you. Later.